Hi guys, Zach here with another Command & Conquer Red Alert video. In this game I'm playing a quick match on the map Arena Valley Extreme. I'm playing against a player called Medford. I'm starting in the top left and playing as the Allies. Now this is just a replay, so we'll be able to see some of what our opponent is doing at the same time and just do a little bit of analysis on the game and the different strategies which are used. As this is a quick match, there's only 2 starting positions and they're given out randomly. You can either start in the top left or you can start in the bottom right. Now I do think the top left position does have an advantage early on because you are closer to that initial starting ore patch, so it's easy to get your first ore refinery out. And I do think there are more gems on that ore patch, which is easier for mining early on. The advantages of starting in the bottom right though is that you have 3 big ore patches very close to your starting position, so you don't need to expand as much later on in the game, although you will need to expand eventually of course. And also it's quite a bit easy to defend, I think, because there's some narrow passages into that bottom right starting position. So both places have some other advantages, however I do think mine starting position does have the earlier advantage. And you can see I've just overstepped my mark in some of those places there, so I'm having to bring some of my infantry back to where they should start. And you can see here Medford's done something a little bit different with his scouts. Instead of just sending single scouts out, which inevitably get killed by the opponent's infantry that they place at certain positions, he stuck a little bunch so he can break through. So that's smart by him, and he's going to get a bit more visibility on my base because of that. What we can see here is Medford hasn't moved his MCV at the start. He's just deployed it at the starting position. And as I said earlier, the ore patch is further away, so he's had to build that extra power plant, which will have put a slight delay on his ore refinery and his first war factory. And you can see I've got my second war factory out now, and you can see there Medford's infantry has just gone right past it, so I'll be able to see what I'm building. And the things I'll be watching out for is, what am I building? Because what I want to know is, am I building just tanks, and am I going to go for a light tank rush? And the other thing you'd be looking for is MCVs. Have I built a service depot, and am I building multiple MCVs? Because if I'm building multiple MCVs, right now he'd be sending those light tanks to my base, because if an opponent builds extra MCVs and you're not, you do have to destroy them, because they're going to have a quicker building speed, and they're going to be able to build up faster, and they're going to have a big advantage in the mid to late game. So he knows what I'm doing, and I'm doing quite a similar strategy to him. There is a distinct difference though. I've gone for a 3rd war factory, and Medford's gone for a 2nd ore refinery before that. And that's just due to us where we've started. His first ore patch doesn't have many gems, so he wouldn't have been able to get as much income from that. So if he built a 3rd war factory, he wouldn't be able to benefit from it, because he wouldn't have a good enough income to pull it off effectively. And you can see he's taking some of his troops up to the north there, and I'm bringing my tanks down to the south. And there he's built a 3rd ore refinery. Now what I would have done there probably is built a 3rd war factory and built a couple of ore trucks from it to help at the bottom ore patch, but he's done things a little bit differently there. And you can see my tanks are starting to filter through now, and this is the first real conflict. And you can see that Medford's probably got the slight advantage at this point, and that's one of the reasons for that is that I'm going down to his base, and it takes times for my tanks to get there. And you can just see I'm moving my tanks around, just trying to find an opening, but at the moment you can see that Medford's just following my movements and just taking his tanks into the best defensive position. And you can see Medford there has just placed his 3rd war factory, so now he's able to produce tanks at the same speed as me. And you can see here I'm destroying that ore truck, and I've got one of his ore trucks down, which is going to hamper his economy. I'm just going to have to try and take this fight though, but as you can see he's got those bigger tank numbers, and the reason for that is because I lost a few tanks when destroying that ore truck. And what I'm going to need to do here is I'm going to need to pull back, because he clearly has the bigger force, and I'm just going to need to regroup a little bit. So this is a very hard spot for me to be in, because what I need to be able to do is I need to be able to hold this. And you can just see I'm just moving my tanks around, looking for any opening. And as you could see, from my base, I was actually expanding towards the south to get to that next ore patch. And we're just going through that gap there because he's not guarding right the other side. Just to get our tanks into open space, because what we don't want to do is go through a narrow gap and be immediately into a fight. And you can see I've actually misdirected some of my tanks there and sent them down that way. But thankfully he hasn't attacked them, so I've been able to group them together. And you can just see I'm just keeping on expanding my base. And I'm going in for the fight now because our tank numbers look a bit more even. And as you can see, Medford is sending 6 tanks up north. So this is another different strategy. What he's doing is he's sending some tanks away from his main force, so he's got 2 groups. So the advantage of this is that he could possibly get into my base and do some kills without me noticing. The disadvantage is his main group of tanks is now going to have 6 less medium tanks in than it could possibly have. So that could mean there's a disadvantage in this fight at his main base. And what you can see now is I've got 4 war factories. So he's got 3 war factories producing tanks. I've got 4 war factories producing tanks. So I'm going to be reinforcing these tanks at the front faster than Medford will be. But the advantage Medford has is he has those 6 tanks that I haven't really noticed. And you can see at the moment it's pretty much even. And I think actually he's got the slight advantage. And you can see actually Medford's moved back onto light tanks, which is quite unusual. I think usually when people go onto mediums, they stick on mediums. But at the moment I think we're just fighting. And actually you can see now this is where I start to get the upper hand. But you can see as I say that Medford has destroyed my construction yard, and I'll have noticed that obviously straight away once the construction yard has been destroyed. And you can see I'm sending some tanks to fight there. And this is quite a dangerous position for me now, because if I lose a building, I can't rebuild it. He's destroyed the power plant, which is sometimes a good idea because it can reduce building speed. But because I had to produce all those power plants to expand south, it won't really hurt me. And you can see I'm going for construction yard, for war factories at the moment. So I've got that second war factory down, and now this is the third and final one, and that goes down now. And now I'm going to go for the construction yard, so we can't build any more. And it wasn't long. You can see there's not long to go in this video. And the thing was, I think it was that 4th war factory that really helped. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video.